Hello everyone, this is Dave from Dave's Recent Things. Pardon all of this mess around here. You can see I am right in the middle of filming for fall, Halloween, and I'm also like 90% planned and purchased for Wreathmas week. So those are all coming up, so stay tuned. But right now, our focus today is going to be a flower petal wreath. I have had so many requests for a flower petal wreath. We are going to do one today. Now, I am not the originator or the creator of the flower petal method. I know Julie's Wreath Boutiques, which I've worked with her before, and I have to say, love, love, love her. So tons of love out to you, Julie. She does a lot of these flower petal wreaths, and I believe she might be the creator as well. If I'm wrong, just let me know in the comments right down below. Again, today we're going to do a flower petal wreath using a wreath board. Why don't I just get started and I'll show you what I made. Here is the Unique in the Creek wreath board that I'm going to be using today. This is the small size one. I'm going to use 10.5 by 10 yards orange deco mesh, and I have 10" by 10 yards in a teal color deco mesh as well. I'm going to be using this centerpiece that has the orange and the teal all together to tie it all in. Some matching pipe cleaners, and today I'm going to be using my regular crafting utensils to create this project. And notice there's no glue gun today, but I will be using it. I am using my cutting mat to cut my deco mesh, and our magic cut number today is the number 10. So I will be cutting all of my deco mesh at 10 inches. I'm going to start off cutting my orange deco mesh. Again, this is 10" by 10 yard deco mesh, cut in 10" lengths. I'm also going to be cutting the teal color deco mesh in the 10" lengths also. So I'm just using my rotary cutter and mat. Now I did forget to show you that I'm using some green deco mesh and cable ties today. I forgot to show that right in the beginning. So I'm cutting the green deco mesh at 10 inches as well. So the total cuts for today, these are our cut lengths. I'm using 10" by 10 yard deco mesh. I have orange, teal, and green. For the orange and teal, 16 pieces at 10". For the green, 8 pieces cut at 10 inches as well. And the total without the leaves is approximately 8 yards of deco mesh. So I'm just going to continue my cuts, put them all to the side, and then we'll create our petals. To create the leaves, this is my green deco mesh. I have the manufactured at the top and bottom, rotate it so we have a diamond shape. I'll take that top corner, bring it right down to the bottom corner. That's going to create a little bit of a triangle. I'm just going to flatten it just a little bit, make sure it's nice and even. Then I'm going to take that right corner, and then I'm just going to fold that over to the left corner, and that's going to create another smaller triangle. So now we have our folded over and creating that triangle, rotate it about 90 degrees, and then we're going to gather it together from the center to the bottom, top to the center, and then that's going to create our little spoon shape. I like to call it a little spoon shape. And then we're going to take a cable tie, tie it nice and tight, maybe a couple of inches right from the bottom, grab those scissors, and then I'm going to cut the excess of our deco mesh off, and I'm going to cut the excess of that cable tie as well. And our final product is this little leaf. And again, it looks like a little spoon. It's got a little scoop there, but that's going to be our leaf, and I'm going to do 8 of those. To create our petals, I'm going to start with our teal color. Again, manufactured edges at the top and bottom, cut edges at the left and right. Rotate it to create that diamond shape. Bring the top right down to the bottom, match those up together. I'm going to flatten it just a little bit, and then I'm just going to take my fingers and I'm going to stretch out that center. That right point we're going to bring down right where our thumb is, kind of place it down, hold it down for a bit, transfer my hands, and then I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. So now I'm aligning the two edges. I'm not folding them over each other. I'm just placing them right next to each other. We're going to rotate it a little bit, and then I'm going to come in about 1.5 to 2 inches, and then I'm going to pinch that bottom, and then I'm going to grab another cable tie, wrap that right around where my fingers are, and I'm going to pull it really tight to make sure it's nice and secure. Grab those scissors, and again, I'm going to cut the excess cable tie, and I'm going to cut the excess of that deco mesh. Once that's all done, we have our little petal all ready, and I'm going to do that for the orange and the teal color. So again, create that diamond shape, bring the top point down to the bottom point, creating that triangle, pull it out right in the center, bringing that right point down to the center. Then we're going to do the opposite side, aligning the two edges. We're going to turn it. We're going to gather it together about 2 inches from the side, pinching it, and then we're going to add that cable tie right at the bottom there where my fingers are. We're going to hold it nice and tight, make sure it's nice and tight, and then take our scissors, cut off the excess deco mesh cable tie, and we have our beautiful little petal. Once again, I'm doing 8 of these, 8 of the orange as well. Also included in this, I'm doing a double petal. So for this, I'm going to use an orange piece, a teal piece, I'm going to grab a cable tie, and for this one, I'm also going to use a clothespin. So what we're going to do, same thing, starting off, we're going to turn it to a diamond shape, bring the corner down to the bottom, and then what we're going to do is the same as the leaf technique. We're going to take that right point, fold it over. I'm going to push it down just a little bit to hold it. I'm going to take that clothespin and just close it off, put it off to the side, and I'm going to do the exact same thing to my second color, which is the orange. Bring the points together, creating a little triangle. Bring that right point over to our left, creating a smaller triangle. Flatten it out just a little bit, and then I'm going to take that first piece of deco mesh, and then I'm going to lay the orange right on top of it. And I'm just going to make sure it's all nice and even on both sides. It's the way I like it. And of course, I put these two colors together. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. Now we're going to do the same thing as we did before. We're going to gather the center and the bottom. Then we're going to gather the center and the top, and that's going to create our little beautiful double petal. So I have those two colors right there. And again, like we've done previously, grab that cable tie, tie it right around that area we gathered. And before I tie it really tight, I'm just going to make sure everything is laying how I want it to lay. I'm going to pull it here, pull it there. Once I'm happy, then I'm really going to grab that cable tie and tie it nice and tight. Again, cutting off the excess of that cable tie, cutting off the excess of our deco mesh just to clean it up a little bit. And here we go. We have our beautiful two-toned petal all ready to attach to our wreath board. Here is our beautiful wreath board. Now it looks scary, but don't be scared. We have numbers and rows, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of holes in our little wreath board, and you can see we have sets of 2, and every now and then on the second row you have a set of 1. We'll talk about that later, but for our leaves we're going to start on that outside row with the sets of 2. You'll also notice 2 extra holes right at the top, right outside of the set of 2. Those 2 holes are for our wreath hanger. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to work on the outside row number 1 in those sets. Now, before we put our cable tie in there, we want to look at the second row, because with the second row, so I'm going to keep the top at the top. With our second row, you see there's 2 sets, and then there's a single set, there's a double set, and a single set. Before we attach our cable ties for our leaves, I'm going to do the 2 sets that are opposite to the single set. I hope that makes sense. Because the 2 sets on row number 2 is where we're going to put our petals. So here you can see I'm adding in my first set of doubles. I'm going to skip one, and then I'm going to use the second double set, add another cable tie, and so on and so forth all around that outside row number 1. I'm not tying the cable ties tight, and I'm not cutting the excess off. So here you can see I have all my loops ready, and I'm doing every other set of 2 on that outside row. Now we're going to take our leaf that we just created, insert it into that loop, and you can see the cable tie that we tied the leaf on is on the inside of the cable tie. We're attaching it to the wreath board. That's going to hold it in place so it doesn't come out. So now we're going to go to my next available open cable tie, do the exact same thing, and I'm going to do this 8 times on the outside because we created 8 of those leaves, and here are our beautiful leaves attached. Now that top again with the 2 holes where we're going to put an additional cable tie, and I'm using a larger cable tie. This one's about 8 inches, and I'm going to put that through the hole. That's going to be our hanger for our wreath. Now you can kind of see here I didn't use those 2 outside holes. That was my mistake. I used the 2 inside holes, but it doesn't matter. The wreath is going to hang anyways. Now we're going to move into our second row, and this is where we're going to use those sets of 2. We're going to skip the singles and we're going to use our sets of 2, and we're going to attach those cable ties in there. The same way we did with the leaves, you're just going to feed those cable ties through, wait till a couple of clicks, and then move on to the next one. So we're going to skip that singular one. We're going to go to the next set and put our cable tie in there. And this is row number 2. So we're going to start our petals now, and I'm going to add 8 of these pipe cleaners, 8 of these cable ties onto that second row. And now we're going to attach our petals on there. The seam is going to go downside. So you want to make sure that that seam is facing down and that flat surface is facing up. We're going to do the exact same thing that we did with our leaves. We're going to insert the deco mesh in there. And again, we're going to make sure that cable tie holding the petals together is on the inside of the cable tie. You can see right here that we're attaching to the wreath board so it doesn't come out. And that'll be nice and secured, and we just cut the excess off. Now I'm putting my last one on of our first row of petals, and you can see, look at that deco mesh. I love it. It's like a mirror effect almost. Now we're going to work on that third row. And this is where we're going to add our orange pieces. So we add our cable ties to the sets of 2, grab those petals, make sure the seam side is facing down, and that cable tie attached to our deco mesh is on the inside of the cable tie that is attached to the wreath board. I'm going to attach all of my orange on here next, seam side down again. Let's remember that. It's not the end of the world if the seam side is up, but I do like it better with the seam side down. So we're just going to finish attaching 8 of those orange petals, and now we're going to work on the inside. Now on the inside you can see there's 4 sets of 2. Now what we're going to do is we're going to attach cable ties into those sets of 2, but also connecting the 2 as well. So we're going to use shared holes. So you can see here I put in the 4 already, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one end of my cable tie into a shared hole, and then the second into another shared hole, and I'm going to do that 4 times as well. So right now we have 4 sets of 2 and then 4 sets of the shared hole. That's going to be a total of 8, and that'll be for our double petals that we created earlier on. So now it's all attached. I'm going to flip it over, and you can see the sets that we're using of holes and the shared holes as well, and that's going to be where we put those double petals, like I said a little bit earlier on. And of course now we have to add those double petals, and we do the exact same thing we've done before with the leaves and the other petals. We feed it through those holes. Make sure that cable tie is on the inside of the cable tie for the wreath frame, and then we are just going to pull that cable tie nice and tight and then cut the excess off as we go. Once it's all there, you can see we have our double petals in place, and you can kind of see everything happening. Love these 2 colors together. For the centerpiece, I just glued down using my hot glue gun with pipe cleaners. I know I said in the beginning I'm not using it, but I did in the end. And I'm going to attach it through the holes. You can see here that we attached our double petals through. So I'm going to flip it over, and you'll see where the holes are. I'm just going to use 2 holes, feed those pipe cleaners through, grabbing that centerpiece, feeding the pipe cleaners through, and then once I have them through. I'm just going to twist them a couple of times, making sure it's nice and secured. And then I'm going to cut the excess off, and I'm going to add a little hot glue on there just to make sure nothing comes undone. This is totally optional if you want to. I like to do it just to make sure it's nice and secured. Once that's all done, check this out. I mean, talk about glittery, talk about gorgeous, and talk about a standout on your front door. I am loving that teal color. It's almost like a disco ball, if you will. I just love how that color, especially with the orange, turned out. And I hope you'll like this too. And the beauty part of this is you can use any different color of deco mesh that you want to create this stunning wreath. I am obsessed with it. I am obsessed with that double petal method. I am loving it. I just love how this wreath turned out, and I hope you do as well. Thank you so much for joining me today while I created this beautiful dual-toned petal wreath. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can be notified whenever I upload a new project. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye for now.